Hi guys, so today I'm going to be reviewing Stephen King's 11/22/63, and I just finished this, I think it was last week, and I just haven't had a chance to review it, and I've been dying to because this book, that's all I have to say, this book is just so good. So if you guys want to see what I have to say about this book and my thoughts, then just keep watching. So I talked about this book and I think it was like what I'm reading video and also my favorites video that I posted for last month, and I was just getting into it, like barely even into it, and I knew I was gonna love it anyways because first of all, it's Stephen King, but besides that, I'm really fascinated with like this time period and also the JFK assassination. I just think that whole thing was really interesting. I mean, it was a tragic thing that happened in our history, but it was just really interesting to learn about. And I feel like this book really just captured that time period so accurately. I mean, as far as I can tell. I mean, I didn't actually live back then, but from what I've read and heard about, I mean, it was pretty accurate to that time. But if you guys don't know what this book is about, it's basically about a school teacher who's like modern day, living in like our time, 2016. Well, actually I think it was 2015, but and he lives in this town, and there's a diner close to where he lives, and he goes there all the time, and he ends up going, and the owner is like he gets really sick, and so the owner starts telling him about this time machine in like the closet of this diner, which no one else knows about, and he explains to him that like you can go back in time, but it's always right before the JFK assassination. It's always the same date, and when you go there, when you come back to present day, you've only been gone for like 2 minutes, so it's not like you're gone for as long as however long you stay in that time, but you end up going back and it's the same day that you left. So but he starts telling him about how the day that you go back in time is the day is close to when JFK is going to be assassinated, and he's been trying for years to figure out if Lee Harvey Oswald was actually the guy that killed JFK. So he's been taking notes for like years, has all of this like information about him. Basically, he's been following him every time he goes back, and he says he's like 99% sure that it's him, but he doesn't know for sure, so that's why he's never like gone back and killed him. So what he wants the main character in this book, Jake, to do is to go back in time and figure that out, and if it is him, stop it before it happens, because the main character, the guy that owns the diner, is going to end up dying, so he can't do it anymore. But I just thought it was really interesting how different, like I feel like it was kind of different, the time machine, than like, I don't know, movies like Back to the Future or other stuff that involves time machines. It was just kind of a different take on it, but I just really enjoyed how they talked about it. But like, I know like people hear Stephen King and think of his books that he's written that are like scary or horror related, which I love, but I know some people aren't really crazy about that type of story. But even if you don't have any clue who Stephen King is, don't care, pick up this book, because I feel like anyone can read this and get something out of it, and I just thought it was so interesting and different from anything he's ever wrote. It has nothing to do with like any type of like horror related thing. It's more actually of like it ends up becoming a love story, which is another thing that I really loved about this book. I'm not really one for like, I mean, I'll read like romance type of books, but they're not my favorite thing to read. But the way he did it in this, I thought was really different, and just, it really touches you. I don't know, like, the relationship between him and the girl in the book, Sadie, who he ends up meeting, was just so, I don't know, it was just such a good love story. But I mean, there's some twists and turns in it that I didn't really like, especially the ending, but it just was so amazing. When I started this book, I was kind of intimidated because I don't think I've ever really read a book that it was this big. I mean, this is about 1,000 so pages, so it was a decent size. But honestly, when you get into this, first of all, it caught me right from the beginning. And I don't know, for me, like, I feel like a book has to do that for me to get into it, or I'm just not gonna continue reading it. So that was a good thing. And then the whole time after that, it just, you want to keep turning the page to find out what's gonna happen, which is great, because if it wasn't like that, I don't think I would have been able to finish it, just because of the size of it. But it honestly never got boring, and you just want to keep picking it up. Like, I always was reading this. I think I didn't even watch Netflix or do anything different. I was always just picking this over anything to do and read. So as I was saying, this book is just amazing. If you haven't heard of it, you definitely need to pick it up and check it out. I mean, it may not be for you, but if you have any interest in like history and this type of thing, then I think you're really gonna enjoy it. And there's a little bit of a love story in it, like I said, so it just overall was amazing, and it was probably my favorite book I've read this year. I think it's a great way to end the year, because since then, like, I just am having a really hard time getting into anything because I've just really missed this book. So and then there was actually, it came out in February of this year, the show for it, which some of you may have heard of actually instead of the book. It was on Hulu, and me and my sister checked it out last weekend and like flew through it. They have James Franco playing the main character in it, which at first I was kind of confused because I feel like anything he's ever been in is usually like a comedy. It's never really any serious type of role, but he did perfect for this role, and I think it just really brought that character to life. And the show in general is amazing. I mean, it's only like 8 episodes, which kind of sucks, but it really, I think, did the book justice and stuck pretty true to it. And I really liked how they did it as a show instead of doing it as a movie, because I feel like they kind of were able to get more of the story in the show instead of just having like a 1 or 2 hour movie. So I really enjoyed that as well. And if you guys haven't heard of either of these, please go check it out and just give it a read, or just watch the show if you're not into reading. But it definitely is worth it, and I think this is one of Stephen King's best books, at least that I've read so far. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this. But like I've said a million times in this book is amazing, and I honestly would read it again if it wasn't for the size of the book. It would take too long, but it was so good. So definitely check it out if you guys are interested. And I think that's it. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!